So coming here, my family eventually joined me, and I started going to confession in the beginning every 3 to 4 weeks, because it was just little by little that Jesus made me aware of just what I needed to work through, the choices that I made that hurt him, hurt myself, and hurt other people. And unforgiveness was like the big one that I was holding, and I actually have a cool story about that too, like in my prayer room. And this was before the word confession and the Eucharist came into my mind. So back when I got married, I had a huge fight with my uncle and aunt and cousins. And it was something trivial about the wedding, but we had a huge blowout, and we said some pretty awful things to each other, and I eventually cut them out of my life. I just was like, I don't want you in my life anymore, and it really hurt my dad. It really hurt my grandma. But for 13 years, I didn't have anything to do with them. And so in my prayer room, during prayer, her name, my aunt's name, came into my mind again. And that was the first, I think really the first experience I had with God really speaking to me. And her name was at the forefront of my thoughts. And again, I had this strong conviction about everything that I said to her and what she said to me, and just this whole big fight and this gut intuition of like, you can't hold on to this anymore. Like, it is poisoning you. Her name kept coming into my thoughts, just at the forefront of my thoughts. And I had the conviction, and I had the gut intuition, and it would not leave me alone. And I was just like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. And I kept ignoring it, and it kept building and building, just like with confession and the Eucharist, to the point where I was having like whole body shakes. I was just like, I was like, I have to do something. You know, I just felt like if I didn't, again, I was going to burst. And so I remember I was alone in the house in my prayer room praying, and I just felt this encouragement from the Holy Spirit, like, you know, you need to make this right. You need to do something. And so I got up out of my prayer room. I went to my laptop, and I wrote her a letter. And I said, I'm sure you're probably surprised to be reading this, but I told her a little bit about what's going on. I was like, God doesn't want me to live this way. I apologized for everything that I said to her and did, and I asked for forgiveness. And in the letter I said, if you don't forgive me, that's okay, but I forgive you. I do not have any animosity. When I think of you, I will not have any negative thoughts or animosity towards you. And then I said, I would really like reconciliation. And I told her if that's not possible for her, that's okay. But I was like, I'm open to it. And I left all my contact information, and I printed out the letter. And I was like, okay, because at that point I didn't have any contact information for her. The only thing I had was an address book from my wedding that had their address in it. And I go, okay, I'm just going to take a leap of faith. I am just going to mail it to this address that I had, and we'll see what happens. Well, it took like a week for her to get it, and the whole week I was just in agony. I was like, what is, all these negative thoughts, like, okay, what if she rejects me? Like, what is she gonna think? Like, when she opens this letter, what's gonna happen? And I just was in this agony all week. And finally, at the end of the week, I got a phone call, and it was her. And she called me, and she goes, I got your letter today. And I go, okay. And she goes, I want to forgive you too. And she goes, I am so sorry. And she goes, I want reconciliation too. She's like, I've been thinking about this for years. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And I just remember crying. The freedom in that moment, like my chains were broken. I mean, it was just like this tangible freedom that I was just free from this unforgiveness that I was holding on to. It was the most amazing moment, and we both, I think, started crying, and I was just like, oh my goodness. I was like, yes, for 13 years you have missed out on my children and my life, and growing up I was super close to them. Her kids were like my brother and sister. I mean, we were that close, like My cousin was my maid of honor in my wedding, and and I just cut them out for 13 years, and just all the stuff that we missed out on each other's lives. And now she's back in my life, and I saw her a couple years ago at a family event, and it was just, she came up and just put me in this bear hug, and she was like, "Here's my girl." And it was just the most amazing experience ever. And I was like, oh my gosh. So that was an amazing prayer encounter that I had. But I just want to speak about the sacraments, because it is so easy to take them for granted. And Jesus is in the sacraments. I mean, he is really there, and he proved it to me. He didn't have to, but he did. And just reconciliation, just going to confession, I know is not a fun thing for people. And it's a battle for me still, because I still go regularly. And I feel like the more that I've been going, the more sensitive I am that when I do fall, I don't want to hold on to it. It does poison me. And I just feel like little by little, Jesus has been drawing the poison out of me through the sacraments. And, it's still a battle for me to go to confession, because I still wrestle with my ego. I still wrestle, I believe, with the devil and these thoughts of, oh, it's not so bad. Everyone does it. You don't have to make a big deal out of it. Why do you have to go to confession? It's this whole big thing. But no, I really no, I'm going to go, and I'm going to battle. And when I go, it's this tangible, freedom and mercy and forgiveness. And it's just this real thing, that happens. And there's such a difference between me sitting in my prayer closet asking God for forgiveness on my own, and having the humility to go before another human being that represents Christ and to say, I messed up. I'm sorry, I don't want to live this way anymore. And to just and it's really an act of humiliation. It is. But it just, the mercy and the grace that you get from it, it's just unbelievable. And so, I just want to continue going regularly. And then I feel like since I've been going to confession regularly, I'm clean to receive the Eucharist. And I feel like I'm open to receiving Jesus in the Eucharist that much more, that I've just let go of this darkness in my heart, And I still have encounters of joy in the Eucharist when I receive it. And there were times coming back too where I would have these anxiety attacks sitting in Mass, and I don't know where they came from. I don't know, if it's a spiritual attack or what it is, but I would have this, I want to run away, I want to just get up and leave. And I have to pray my way through. And then as soon as I receive communion, I'm just, this joy and this peace washes over me again. And it's just been a reoccurring thing, not every time, but reoccurring since I've been here now almost 2 years. It's been about 1.5 years since I've been back. And I can't say enough. I want to encourage people to just come back and receive these sacraments. And also just the community that I have found here, just getting to know some of the staff and making friends and just getting to meet incredible people. And it's been great. It is like a second family here. And I am so grateful that I am back in the Catholic Church. I did both churches for a while. It was hard for me to let go of Hope Church. But it was interesting because just my desire for worshiping at Hope Church became less and less as I started coming to Holy Family regularly. And I just feel like it's because of the sacraments that I just have this sense of completion with worship. I just feel complete. I don't know any other way to describe it. And I still love Hope Church. I love their mission. I love everyone there. But I am just complete at Holy Family, and I'm just full of joy and gratitude. And I have gratitude for Hope Church too, because they are the ones, I found Jesus there. And there's just an amazing group of people that put my hand on that latch for the door of God. And, I just was blind and hard-hearted, and they just really helped me to soften up. And so I love them, and I love Holy Family. So I have 2 churches that I love and 2 church families that I love. And now I'm going to be leaving. We're moving in a couple weeks, and I'm going to St. Paul's Catholic Church, and I'm just hoping I have the same experiences there. And I will say getting involved here as well, volunteering, and my kids started altar serving, and it just helps so much with finding your community and your family and connecting with people. And so I hope to do the same at St. Paul's Church too in Olathe. So I think that's all I have. Thank you for listening.